Hello everyone, this is Daniel. Welcome back to another live stream. I hope everybody can hear me. Give me some moments to check if everything is alright. I'll be here in a second. Or just let me know in the comments if you can see me. On my side everything looks good, but I sometimes have issues with my audio setup. Let me know if anything is too quiet, too loud, or if the video has any issues. So, what can I say? Maybe if you saw my last video, you saw my time-lapse of this sculpt here. I only modeled like the first half, and I thought I would just leave it there. But, I guess there was an opportunity to continue the sculpt. So this is what I'm currently having here on my screen. Before I move on, actually, I'm not sure if the stream is working alright. Let's see. Now people start joining. Alright. Seems like there has been some delay. Yeah, I think most of you will know this character. Let me know in the comments. Who do you think this is? It's quite obvious, really. But today I won't really be working on this. I'm just having this open here to spend the first couple of minutes until more people join doing something. I'll be later on starting a new sculpt and model on another head. It's just that I recently really did not have any time to sculpt at all, and I really want to get some practice again, and it might not be the greatest sculpt today, but that's alright. I'm just happy that I can spend some time sculpting again, and you can follow the progress along. So then let's wait for a few more moments. I'll just spend some time sculpting here. So, by the way, today's a really nice day for streaming on my side, because outside there's basically a strong storm and rain going on. Nobody wants to go outside today, so what better day could I have chosen for streaming? Like usually here at my university, when a typhoon is coming, classes are cancelled, and like everybody was like checking the news page of the university like every 10 minutes to see if the news that classes were cancelled is already out, but apparently they didn't cancel classes today at all. So they might be thinking it's not too heavy of a storm, but I have already ruined an umbrella today, so it's definitely quite some wind. Like the umbrellas here in Japan are really cheap. You can, what is it in US dollars, like $3 US or something, you can get an umbrella, but then again they're really not that strong, so people walk out of the convenience store here, and literally within a few seconds the wind ruins their new umbrella. And so when you go to the to the trash cans, there's like a pile of broken umbrellas, and my umbrella even had, unfortunately, to join that pile today, and then I had to run back to the dorm because I had nothing. So that's the kind of weather that's going on. Oh, thanks for the comment on the... So the forehead and the nose bridge is a bit weird. The nose can be lowered a bit until it reaches to the level of the lower part of the ear. I'll try. Let me give it a shot. Personally, I had the feeling that I got the proportions quite well for this style, but you never know. Is that better? Let me know what you think. Yeah, so usually the information on these kind of weathers is really good here in Japan. Like they will have a couple of days in advance a map with like the whole path of where the storm is going to be at what time, and it's really fun to just keep track of where things are going. so yeah, that was a little story of the day. Yeah, thanks. I think so too. That was good idea to fix the proportions there. So let's see. We have 20 people watching. That's a lot fewer than usually. Hey, how have you been? Has been a long time. Well, throughout this stream, I can give you a few spoilers. I'll be working on a new sculpt. Let me just start it right now. Actually, I'll just save this quickly. And then I also want to talk about another project that I want to invest quite some time in the future, but I'll maybe wait a bit longer. Okay then. Let's start over. I usually like to start just with the where is it? With the Dinosphere. I basically just want this sphere without any settings, so I just usually start with this one. Hi Tyra. Thanks for joining the stream. So you're new to 3D? I hope you can gain something from this stream then. I'll be working a little bit on a head sculpt today. Let's see. Nice to see the chat is already having a nice conversation. I quickly want to give a shout out to Lime Studios in the chat there. We have previously worked a little bit together on the project core. There is still some videos of that, and like if you go back, I don't know how long that is already, 2 years. In my videos, there was a game project that he helped me work on, and right now I think he's still working on his project Arrhythmia, if I remember correctly. It's like a music rhythm game. It looked really cool and I really liked the music personally. So definitely take a look at his YouTube channel. I think he's uploading still regularly there. Oh, thanks. I'm glad my videos are useful to some of you. On my end, I've been mostly busy with like university stuff, to be honest. Like before, in the past years when I did more videos, I think it was a lot more easier for me because all my responsibilities were to attend, well, high school and like that sort of thing. There was not so much responsibility really, and even if I messed up my grades, nothing really bad would happen, or at least so I thought. But now it's like every single subject that I take at university is like do it properly or you'll fail it. So it's really tough to balance everything with working on your interests, and so now unfortunately I just get to model whenever I have like everything done, like today. Although I have things left to do even, but I'm just taking a little break here and just allowing myself to do some sculpting for the day, but really usually it's only possible to work when there's nothing. The good news is that like in a month, in August, my summer holidays will start, and then I have a bit more than 2 months of really freedom, so there will be so much time for me to work on all the things. yeah, so definitely looking forward to like working on a bunch of projects in that time. By the way, a little bit of background information on how I start the sculpts. I think you will only be able to see my ZBrush interface, but that is because the recording software only captures like the ZBrush window. But you can change the see-through value here, which I'm currently doing. And I have just, there's a bunch of 3D scans of heads and faces on a website called Sketchfab. And I like to open a head scan in the background and to just quickly align like my proportions to give me a little bit of a good start at the beginning. So right now, even though you cannot see it, I have like a background reference, so to speak. So I'm getting just my proportions right and like seeing where the eyes are supposed to be and that sort of thing. And then when I have everything laid out somewhat, then I go back and I kind of do my own thing afterwards. And hey to all the other people who joined. Let's see what's up in the chat. Oh, Lime City is saying, finally graduated from school and moved and got a job. Finally free from university. Oh, that's so good. Well, congratulations. It must be so different. Like, until graduating university, I guess life is more like a, how do you say it? You have to like work all the time for even like outside of your working hours, so to speak. Everybody expects you to study for exams and to do assignments and that sort of thing. But I guess in work I guess ideally you would be only working during your working hours and do your best in that time and then come back and, you know, the rest of the day is yours and you don't have to worry about something. I feel like that must be a really nice thing about like working life, but who knows. The balance between the things you want to do and the things that others want you to do is always really difficult, I feel. Oh, and thanks for the question. Tyra is asking, is sculpting better and easier than doing it in other ways? It's a very common question actually, so I want to quickly answer that. My take on that is that sculpting is like painting. You don't have to understand much in order to do sculpting. Basically, you have fewer tools, you can move things, add things. It's very self-explanatory. Once you get the user interface, really, sculpting is easier to get into. And also, it yields better results, if you ask me, because you're able to add more details in sculpts, way more than if you try to do the same thing with polygon modeling. Simply because in polygon modeling, you have to transform and translate every single vertex and point of information by hand. So you click it, you move it, you click it again, and that can be really tough and very hard to control, especially when you don't have, well, years of experience and practice and getting fast at it. Like, it can be so inefficient at first that many people just give up. And so sculpting allows you to really speed up that process and has very easy tools for you to start out. However, on the other side, polygon modeling really is the theory behind it. Like, all the technical background of sculpting lies in like polygon modeling. So really, if you want to eventually put your objects into games, or if you want to do anything really further beyond the point of sculpting with your model, then you really need to have the knowledge of polygon modeling. So in the end, it's not really avoidable that you learn how to do how polygon modeling works, because it's a really important theoretical knowledge that you need to continue working with your files. But for the designing and for the modeling of characters, I feel that you'll be better off with sculpting. Just know like the differences and the advantages of each of those to make use of both properly. Interesting. Live Studio is saying, so you have less time overally now because of your job? Ah, okay. But then he continues on saying, but the free time that he has, he can do completely dedicated work to his project. So yeah, that's an interesting insight, I think, to the working environment. So maybe your free time will be less, but then at least you can 100% focus on your work, which sounds not too bad. But I mean, probably most people don't have too much choice in that anyways. But it's definitely important to make sure that you have time for yourself, I feel. Hi Khalil, it's nice to see you too. I hope you're having some wonderful questions again today. I always enjoy answering yours. It's nice to see you back again. I hope my timing for this stream is not too bad, by the way. I just had some free time, so I started to stream. I don't really have the freedom to think right now about when a good time for everybody is. Let's see. It's 3 p.m. in Japan. That must be like, what, 6 in the morning in Europe? Something along those lines. I guess we don't have many people watching from Europe, based on the time. But United States should be late night. Something around 11 p.m. Well, maybe it's not too bad of a time then. Let me read some of the comments. Oh wow, it's 1 a.m. there. Italy is 7 p.m. Nice. Lime Studio is saying, I've tried sculpting something a bit ago and had to retopologize the model by hand, so I guess didn't really save time in order for it to be efficient enough for VR. I'm actually really glad I didn't go into game dev company immediately for my first job. I think doing game dev all day at work, then coming home and doing it would burn me out quickly. Yeah. That sounds like something I can relate to. Because, like, how can I put it? If you have to do something and then you want to continue it as if in your free time, it's kind of tough. I experienced this a little bit because I'm always struggling personally with what I see my 3D modeling as. Is it a hobby? Is it something I do as a passion, or is it something I do to eventually do it for a living? And so every time I kind of attempt to grow it, to make it like more something that I can live off eventually, then it gets a bit difficult. It's like forcing me to do work, and then maybe it's demotivating, but well, mixed feelings, generally speaking. Kayla is asking, are you still doing your traditional hat drawings, and do you still see an improvement in your sculpting workflow from doing these? I really wish I had more time. I feel a bit sorry for that, almost, to myself and everybody, but I'll talk in a bit about what I've recently spent a lot of time on. But recently I have not really had time to draw much, and the sculpting, well, you saw my recent sculpt. That was one that I did. But I've been studying a lot. I kind of recently wanted to expand my knowledge a lot more into different fields. So I've been, for some part, studying like mathematics a lot. I've been going to the library several times a week to get some books there, to just go through some of the math concepts that I'm not sure about, and I just and I also learned a bunch of new concepts about matrices and vectors. I mean, to the software developers among you, it probably won't sound too difficult, but like, you usually don't learn that stuff directly in high school or university if your major is not anything related to that sort of thing. But as I wanted to get involved a bit more into it, I just picked up some books and studied that a lot, and so that consumed a lot of my free time. I always was really interested in engineering, so to satisfy kind of my curiosity, I also went and read a bunch of books about mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, and it's of course a bit frustrating because knowing that there is something I'm good at, I can do sculpting with, well, some amount of confidence anyways. So then to not do this, but instead to do something that I'm really not good at and where I can't share anything, where everything I do is basically struggle with finding out how even the most simple things work. It's tough, but then I feel like I finally get to learn some of the things that I've always wanted to know. So while I'm having fun and I'm using my time as good as I can, there is it's a bit difficult to get to do 3D modeling, for example. And you see how then in this situation the feeling of, is this what I want to do or is this what I need to do for work, becomes kind of relevant. Well, anyways, that's a little bit of a story of what I'm going through. But I have some good news, because I have a new, very interesting project, I think, that all of you will be able to experience together with me, because it's directly related to YouTube, that I quickly want to talk about. So I've been thinking about new things that I can do for YouTube and for all of you to enjoy, and also connected with like things that I do at university, so that that it doesn't have to be either do something for university or do something for my channel. So I came up with an idea of doing something with projection mapping, and to get a bunch of people involved, hopefully even like lots of people on YouTube who want to contribute to this project. And so I'm currently designing and thinking about a projection mapping competition that I want to actually bring to life here at my university, as in like the final event, and I want a bunch of teams to form and kind of participate in this. And I hope it will be exciting. Like it's going to be like a show a little bit. So hopefully we'll get several teams locally to really come on location to very intensively for 2 weeks work on their project based on like a theme, and they get the geometry and the stage design and everything, and they're free to basically do any design that they want. And there will be like a very nice entertaining show, hopefully, that I'm starting to work on. So well, the three of us working on it are making our first steps right now, but if everything goes well, I hope that in maybe November or so, or October, we'll see the first videos about that, but there's still a lot to figure out. It's really, and that's really what I'm learning a lot about in university anyways. In case some of you haven't heard yet, my major here is not anything to do with graphic design or something. My major here is business management, international business. So it's very unrelated to design, of course, but there's still a lot I'm gaining here. For example, like project management, scheduling, the whole budget, and communications in business. I just feel like if I hadn't chosen this major, then it would have always been like a fight as an artist to like get attention from people, and I would probably have always blamed like the business people for like doing things that have little meaning while we are just following our passions and doing the right things. But having like this insight from the other perspective allows me to mix the both worlds, and I hope that I can come back and focus more on art again in the future. But I'm definitely relying on this insight that I'm getting right now into the business world. So I want to practice and make use of this new knowledge, and so I'm looking for opportunities to apply my management knowledge, like how do you manage a group of people working on a project, how well, not just motivation and human aspects, but also like resources. How do you allocate resources efficiently? How can you make it profitable, and everything along those lines? And it's so surprisingly difficult. Even just a part of just do it. Like if you have an idea and you think it's so great, but then people usually fail at it, right? And like usually the problem is people just cannot get started. The first step is so difficult. And you might want to say, well, just do it, but really there is a lot more involved in it from my experience now, and it can be frustrating because you are alone yourself at first and you need to get everybody involved and so on. But then it's very satisfying and very opening, like you open yourself so many possibilities, I feel. So that's a little bit there. Let me quickly see the chat. Oh, thanks for the support there. Kaylil too, thanks a lot for the support. Yeah, well, it's difficult to say though, because time is, in my opinion, the most limited thing that we have. Because if we had unlimited time, you don't have to stress about anything, just at your pace learn everything. But because we have a limited amount of time, you can always just study one thing at once, and you know, everything you do, you miss out on opportunity to do something else. And so, like in business they call it opportunity cost, but it doesn't really apply only to business, it really applies to your entire life, if you ask me. Everything we choose to do, we at the same time give up all the other things that we could have done in that same time. So while I'm studying business right now, I'm really giving up on the opportunity to grow as an artist. And I hope that this is the right decision. So definitely something to think about there. And so, what else can I talk about? Does anybody have questions so far? I feel like I really haven't talked much these days about concepts in like 3D and how to approach things. There is a lot of knowledge that I could share that probably would be useful to people, but the more I do the things, the more natural it comes to me, and the less I feel the need of explaining something, because personally to me it comes so natural. Just let me know if there's anything. Other than that, yeah, as I said, August will be finally the beginning of my summer break, and hopefully the beginning of many videos, and I'll be spending, as usual, every day from morning to night on working on some projects, so you'll definitely see a lot from me. And like during the past two, like summer break and, well, winter semester breaks, I did some traveling, but this time I even canceled all my plans for travel, so there's really a main focus on my plan this time to do stuff, to learn about whatever comes to my mind at that time, like art or whatever it is. We'll see. So Kaylee is asking, I hear that concept art is heading more into the 3D world instead of 2D. How does that work without a sketch or some type of drawing? Where did you hear that? I'm curious where that comes from. What my intuition tells me is that probably concept art really does move more and more into 3D, in a sense of that in the end, like the finished concept will be presented in 3D. But I'm pretty sure that almost no artist really, like very few artists, start directly in 3D. It's very difficult to jump into 3D and to make your sculpt interesting from the 3D right away. Where, you know, in 2D you have so many opportunities to like make random shapes and to find new shapes and to come up with new things. But in 3D you really usually need to know the shape that you want to have. It needs to be really clearly in your mind in order to get it down right, and there is little opportunity to, so to speak, sketch in 3D. But I see how many artists start to learn 3D because eventually, once they have their sketches, they can jump in 3D and make their concept understandable in the end. And that's my little view on that. Unfortunately, I don't know who John Park is. Apparently, that's what he said in an interview, according to Kayla's comment. Yeah, and Lime Studio also adds in the comments, 2D allows you to understand form better, because if you can't turn a 3D object into 2D, then you really know how to create and modify form. Well, that's also a way to look at it. But I'm not sure, actually. Like, 2D allows you to really cheat when it comes to physical constructibility, or what is it? Like, many things that you can draw are impossible to make in 3D. It's easy to make something look good by just adding some shapes in 2D, but then you try modeling it in 3D and you realize how most of the shapes are like impossible. And then when you start modeling, you have to think about everything in detail. And I think this is maybe why studio, like game studios or those kind of places are interested in having 3D concepts, because they want their artists to clarify exactly what the concept is about. There shouldn't be any variables, or like as much as possible should be defined, otherwise well, it will lack detail. And Kaylee seems to be busy. Thanks for joining for the short time, though. I'm glad I could hear some of your questions there. Definitely, I hope to see you again next stream. So see you around. And yeah, I guess 2D is then. But I don't think 2D will ever stop to exist. Just to conclude on the topic, like, I can't imagine, really. It seems very abstract, the thought that will only be working in 3D in the future. Because, oh, one more comment actually on that whole debate is that 3D can never really be the end product, because 3D defines a shape, but like in order to view the shape, we need to render it on a 2D picture. And so what we look at is always 2D. And even if we display it on a 3D screen, like it's sort of 2.5D, it's not real 3D. VR and 3D printing are the only applications really where the final result is 3D. However, even then you're actually still painting colors and textures onto the model, which in some way is again 2D painting. And you want to decide your colors in a 2D way because our eyes more or less see a 2D picture. Like what our eyes see is not 3D, right? It's actually 2.5D. And so everything we consume in the end with our eyes is supposed to be 2D or 2.5D in a way. And like maybe the argument, if it's an object that you're supposed to touch and feel, then yeah, there is nothing about colors that matters, it's just about shape. But the argument is just that because everything in the end has to be converted into 2D, we really need to learn how to make something look appealing in 2D. If we are just good at making the shapes as perfect as possible, but the 2D representation of it doesn't look good, then well, we're a bit troubled. And that's what I feel a little bit with myself. I'm getting better at sculpting, but then I'm really bad at presenting my object at this point. So I really have a lot